We look at the linearity of consciousness in people and bodies. Kryon talks about soul splitting and multidimensional aspect of the soul all the time. So look, when we're in touch with loved ones on the other side of the veil, in whatever way, we're not in touch with their linear past selves. We're in touch with their soul parts. You got that? Soul parts are forever. They never change. They're the core consciousness of all of our lives, and they're in there forever. Did you know that you are not actually all here? Part of you is still on the other side as a soul part. And we call it the higher self. It's forever. It's the same higher self every single lifetime. So the soul contains all of your lives at once, and even the future ones. How about that one? It's not linear, and this is where all spiritual communication comes from. So, even if your loved one has reincarnated and is back on the planet, the soul is still there. The lives they lived were still there as a living consciousness within that soul. So, Kelly, have peace in the knowledge that you can always know that they're there to contact. It's a hard one to explain, isn't it?
Well, I love that you mentioned peace. I loved that we have been talking about the masters. So let's use those two themes to anchor in our meditation as we welcome in Kryon. And I invite you to close your eyes, deepen your breathing, and think about all of the masters that have been on our planet. There have been so many come in physical form to show us the potential that exists within all of us. And each of you will have your own version of who that master healer is for you. They could be alive on the planet now, or they could be someone that has been on the planet, had an end-of-life experience, and is now communicating at a soul level. Whatever that master is to you, let us ask to receive an eternal peace to help us in our understanding of the bigger picture. To bring us peace when things happen and we don't know the reason why something has happened. So that when we face a situation where we look at that situation and ask why did this happen? Let us use that as the invitation for the energy of peace to descend upon us from the masters. Allow the energy of peace to descend upon you. You are receiving that from the masters. And as that bubble of peace wraps around you, let us invite the wisdom of the words from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. A bubble of peace. How appropriate that this was brought up. This is indeed another installment of the series of 4, which we call things which are hiding in plain sight. If you take a look at the human being, the way you are right today, it's the way you were before, and before that. It's the way the ancients were. That hasn't changed much. What has changed is consciousness. Your ability perhaps to understand and develop belief systems that involve very complex ideas that are beyond that which is 3D. You have no problems with a beautiful, loving God that can hear a billion prayers all at once. That's not linear. You don't even ask, how can God do it? What if that reality which you consider is God actually spills into that which is the human being's soul, and then spills into that which is the design of the multidimensional parts of a human being? Dear ones, your cellular structure, your DNA, has multidimensional pieces and parts. If you don't believe that, ask this: what does a quantum biologist study? They study the multidimensional parts of the human being, the quantum parts, they would say. Quantum is a word that we would use, perhaps improperly to a physicist, that says it is a multidimensional part. If that is true, that means that you also have within you the ability to be nonlinear. Kryon, what are you talking about? All this science. One of the things that's hiding in plain sight is your soul. Now, we have never really said that before. We've talked about some of the other things hiding in plain sight before, but not this one. This is new. That is why the Circle of 12 was conceived. It's a new concept that you can identify and walk into that which is your soul part. That soul part of you is miraculous. That soul part of you is also part of the creative source itself. So when you're there, dear ones, it is an amazing experience, because anything is possible. This is where you can meet and work with your past lives. When you walk into that which is your soul energy, you've seen it on the Circle of 12, right here, over and over. There is no limitation to what you might be able to do. You think about these things. What is it that perhaps you could do if you could walk into that which is the soul of yourself? Who could you meet? I want you to take a look for a moment and remember what the Circle of 12 has given you in the aspects of who has been in the theater and what has taken place in that theater. These are all metaphors of what you can do for yourself if you could meet your soul. Now, there are so many who would tell you at this moment, don't pay any attention to that silly stuff. You can't do that. They'll tell you that the soul is completely and totally removed from you. It's on the other side of the veil, and the mechanism of the soul is simply that which is up to God, and that you yourself have nothing to do with it while you're here. Now I ask you, does that really make sense? Would you have designed it that way? Now, I continually say these things about spiritual logic. How would you have designed yourself in pure compassion and love from the other side of the veil? And we've said this before. Would you have designed a system that removes you from God? That's what so many teach even today. A system which has you groveling in the dirt, climbing ladders in order to, that's a metaphor, steps or ladders in order to gain that which God would give you, of looking down so you don't have to look in the face of God because you're not worthy. Does that sound familiar? Would you have designed it that way? Does a parent design that for their kids? And the answer is no. Compassion and love have to win. Light is winning. So get into some spiritual logic and understand that these things start to make sense. Your soul is spectacular in every single way. It is the core spirituality. I would say spiritually, it is the core source of you and the Creator's connection. It's the core source of you and the Creator's connection. Connecting with God. Is it possible that you can look into the face of the Creator? And the answer is yes, because when you do, you look at your own face. You are part of everything. The soul is eternal. It never started and it never will end, just like the Creator. There is no difference. Imagine God always had souls within it, ready to do what you're doing. That means you are part of the creative source. And for the first time, we tell you, you can touch the face of God. You have permission. It's always been there. But now in this new energy, it's doable. Hiding in plain sight is the ability for you to cross that bridge that we do every day. You can meet the masters of the past and ask them questions. You can meet yourself